Listen now, we the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back. It is finally time. The season is upon us. Football season's upon us. We're kicking off the NFL season 2022-2023. We had a little bit of a break. No scoreboard, not much to talk about. A couple things happened during that time. A certain team won the NBA championship. I don't know if we talked about that. Was that? Or
I think we did, actually.
We may have, or we were close to. Like, it was around the time we took a break. A certain team won the NBA championship. Nothing big, nothing huge, but just it happened. They played basketball. NFL training camp happened relentlessly throughout the summer. Of course, not too much to cover. Fantasy football season already started a while ago, and you're obviously all over that. But now we're finally starting off with the real thing. After some preseason, which was all right, but it's just preseason, is not the same as the regular season kickoff, and I'm glad it's happening. I'm finally back, and I'm here on a mission. I'm here with a vengeance, because last year, and even in the USFL, I lost the predictions. I'm on a losing streak with predictions at the moment. I think I lost the playoffs, I lost the regular season. USFL, same deal. So I need to pick it up right from the start, not fall behind, and hopefully make some points right from the start. So my strategy this year is going to be that I'm going to pick more teams that win than you do.
Is that how that works?
That's how it works, yep.
Oh, okay.
That's how it works.
Well, unfortunately, I mean, I could see where you're coming from and how that strategy could possibly work out. But unfortunately, I'm not going to let it happen, so I shall win this again. Hate to break it to you that way, but that's how it's going to work.
All right. Well, we will see about that. Let's kick it off, though. We have the first game, opening day. Pretty good one. The Bills at the LA Rams.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was thinking about this, too, and this is traditional, right? The Super Bowl champions always play at home in the very first game of the season, at least since like 2004, whenever they started that. What happened in 2019? Do you remember when the Bears and Packers played? And there was that 9-3 stinker, on Thursday night? I always wondered what happened. I didn't think much about it at the time, but
that should have been
looking at it.
Should have been the Patriots, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. But I guess that's the only time since 2004 that it hasn't happened. And here we are with the Rams playing at home against probably most people's power ranking number 1, 2, or 3 in the entire league. Obviously, with the Bills, Josh Allen is back. Even added a few extra weapons for the team in the draft this year. So the Bills seem to be stronger than ever, in my opinion. I don't know where it could go wrong. But the Rams, on the other hand, you would think they added Allen Robinson to their already great team that actually won a Super Bowl. I kind of feel like there's going to be a Super Bowl hangover coming right here, especially with Stafford being injured to start the season, which we all know Stafford's going to play because he doesn't sit out for injuries. That's just Stafford. He's going to play, but if he is hurt a little more than we think he is, then this could really affect the season of the Rams. So I actually have the Bills to go down to California and put one over on the Rams in the first game of the season.
All right, it's not a bold pick as much as it may seem like it. And this is also an interesting stat. You mentioned that the Super Bowl champ, they play at home, first opening game of the season. The Bills are favored in this game by 2.5 points, despite being on the road, mind you. So how often does it happen that the Super Bowl champ is an underdog in the home opener? Someone check that.
Never.
Probably not a whole lot. Just goes to show how much respect the league actually has for the Bills, and rightfully so, because I honestly believe the Bills would have beaten the Bengals in the AFC Championship game had it come down to it. It was literally a coin toss between the Chiefs and the Bills, and then of course Patrick Mahomes played the worst half of his career so far against the Bengals. I think the Bills would have won that game quite convincingly against that relatively weak offensive line. So this is the Super Bowl that could have been, and I'm gonna say the Bills win this as well. I do believe in the Bills. They're my number one team this season in power rankings, like you've alluded to as well. I think they've only gotten better. I think Josh Allen is only getting better. At least he hasn't stopped getting better. So until that happens, we'll have to say expect big things. Also, probably my number one MVP candidate in Josh Allen going into the season. We'll get into all those things later as the season progresses, but taking the Bills as well. That's not just because I want them to win. That's because I think they are genuinely the best team in the league going into it. So Buffalo over LA for me. This is, of course, one that you're going to love to see right off the bat. The Saints at your Falcons.
Yeah, in Atlanta. So this is a good way to kick off the season on Sunday morning here. Or to actually be in the afternoon here, but it's morning for most people. It's tough. It's a really tough pick because there's so many new weapons on that Falcons team that you really don't know what is going to happen. The preseason was no indication to how well these guys are going to click together. Mariota is going to be out there slinging it, which we know he has the capabilities to do something great in the NFL. We've seen it. We've seen wonderful games out of him. We've seen 4 and 5 touchdown games out of Mariota, but we've also saw long stretches where he could not complete a pass and just loss after loss after loss after putting up less than 10 points in some games. Sitting as a backup, maybe the experience has helped him. I don't feel great that he never could get on the field over Derek Carr, which is kind of a negative. But then again, the Saints, who knows what Jameis Winston's going to be coming back after his long injury, after pretty much doing the same thing. These guys are actually draft enemies right here. 1 and 2 picks. I didn't even think about that until right now. This is the 2015 draft battle right here. So this should be interesting. I'm going to go ahead and, since both of them are up in the air, some people probably have the Saints listed higher on their power rankings than the Falcons, but I will take the Falcons at home to take this one first off.
Homer. Okay, fair enough. You said it's a good way.
Absolutely.
It's a good way to kick it the season. Let me put you in this scenario. If the Falcons lose and lose badly, it's about the worst possible way to kick off the season as well, because you'll be sitting here a week from now and you want it to just end. Like, can we just go to playoffs right now? And this is already where I'm gonna make my first point here. I'm taking the Saints. I'm gonna contest it right from the start because I've lost 4 predictions in a row. I gotta come out guns blazing. So I'm taking the Saints to go to Atlanta, beat the Falcons. I have no idea what this quarterback play is going to be about. For all intents and purposes, this could be a Matthew Stafford leaving Detroit kind of situation without Matt Ryan. I haven't seen that in a long time, and we don't know what remains of the Falcons, and not a lot remains in terms of the big contributors to the playoff success they did have. Matt Ryan's gone, Julio Jones has been gone. Similar thing goes for the Saints, but they still have a strong defense, and I think that's what's going to put them over. Saints to beat the Falcons. And by the way, how many games do you give Mariota before Desmond Ridder comes in as a starter?
Oh, well, if we're winning, I'm going to say, as long as he doesn't drop more than like 3 or 4. But if he is losing, if the Falcons are losing, I give it game 7 or 8. So
you start like 2 and 5, and he's gone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Browns at the Panthers.
Yeah, well, this one's going to be Jacoby Brissett starting with the suspension of Deshaun Watson, and I will no longer add that joke to this podcast. I can't do it anymore. Unfortunately, the guy just worked himself out of a damn good joke. On the other side, man, so many new quarterbacks are going to be starting for these games. This is actually shaping up to be pretty cool and interesting, but we got Baker Mayfield out there who apparently had a quarterback battle with Sam Darnold. I think everybody knew when they signed Baker Mayfield he was going to be the quarterback regardless, but they wanted to play it out like maybe Sam's going to be the quarterback, but obviously not. The Browns shouldn't be anything special, especially with Jacoby Brissett there. They may pick it up at the end of the season when Watson gets back, but as for right now, I'm going to take the Panthers at home.
All right. I would not be surprised if both Baker and Darnold started multiple times back and forth. It's the kind of scenario that we had last season with Cam Newton as well. Both of these are also, by the way, draft enemies, as you have another story storyline there. And both of them so far have been pretty underwhelming and not meeting their expectations, especially considering they were both picked ahead of Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Makes it look even a little bit worse. So we'll see how it plays out there in Carolina. Both of them so far seem kind of to be rejects. And as for Cleveland, I was thinking you're not going to make the jokes anymore. I may go dig out the old clip that I have of you picking Watson over Mahomes and like play it one more time just for fun.
You can't do that anymore. It's canceled.
I still have it on my computer just in case I ever need to bring it out again. That being said, I'll disagree again. I'm taking the Browns. Because here's why. The Browns lost Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield was never the reason that the Browns were not terrible, and actually pretty good for a while in the first place. They ran the ball and they played stingy defense. They rushed the passer well. And they still have that run game. They still have their offensive line. And they paid them the big bucks to do exactly what they're going to do, which is run it down their throats. And for Carolina, I mean, they have Baker now. Baker's not going to make the difference. If it were Baker on Cleveland and random quarterback on Carolina, would that really change your mind? For me, it wouldn't. I'm still taking the Browns. I don't think Baker's going to make the difference. Browns to win because of the run game. We have the Niners at the Bears.
Well, you're going to like this, man. I predict Trey Lance is going to have a wonderful breakout season. I think he has the capabilities of doing, and of course he's going to be compared to Josh Allen his entire career, but I think he has the capability, the tools to end up being that caliber of a quarterback. Now, no one likes to compare new guys to greats for some reason, but I'm going to do it. I think Trey Lance has the capability of becoming Josh Allen in the future, and it should start right here. Now, Justin Fields also has the capability of being a great quarterback in this league, but he does not have the weapons at this time. His biggest weapon is going to be Darnell Mooney. We know that David Montgomery is not catching a lot of passes, so he's going to be dependent on Darnell Mooney, who is yet to be proven in the NFL. I know he's had a few good games here and there, but he has yet to prove that he is a number one wide receiver. And the offensive line is not great. So, I'm definitely going to make you happy. Pick the 49ers on the road.
Oh, yeah. I'm taking the Niners as well. Cannot disagree with that. On the Trey Lance topic, I will just say he's in a good situation, like in a very good situation, but that also puts pressure on him because he has a team that has had recent playoff success and that is expecting another playoff appearance and playoff success in the very near future. That is this season. So he's not going to be able to bring out excuses like Fields or Trevor Lawrence were last season, or Zach Wilson for that matter. Like all the quarterbacks that were drafted in that draft, he can't make up any of that because he needs to step up and win. And also Jimmy Garoppolo's on the team, and we all know that Jimmy Garoppolo can win games and can win playoff games and be good enough for this team to be successful. Now, Trey Lance can be better than Garoppolo because Garoppolo has the physical limitations and most of all the injury concerns. But if Trey Lance, we talked about it with the Falcons, if Trey Lance comes out slow and the Niners end up like 3-3 or something, there's always the idea of Garoppolo going back in because it's a win-now team, and we know that he's going to be able to get them to the playoffs if Lance isn't ready yet. So pressure is there, but that being said, the situation is great. I'll take the Niners, absolutely. They're a much better team and should win this on the road. Steelers at the Bengals.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about it. That's also a draft enemies game, the Niners and the Bears.
There's a lot of those.
Quarterbacks. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm going to note which ones are, as a matter of fact. Bengals coming off the Super Bowl loss. Now, will they have the hangover or not? Is this team really for real, or did they just get lucky? We're going to find out right here because as of right now, the Steelers with Mitchell Trubisky, I think, is a 500 team. I think they are dead average in the league. They have a great coach, of course, in Mike Tomlin, and they will win at least half their games with a horrible squad just because of that coach. So I'm placing them right now somewhere dead in the middle of the league. And this will determine if the Bengals are actually going to roll back into this season and continue the trajectory they were on and make it back to the playoffs and pull off something. But we will find out. I will go with the odds, though, and take the Bengals to take this one at home.
Yeah, especially at home. I'm going to agree, take the Bengals. Even if it were Kenny Pickett starting, as much as I like him, I wouldn't take the Steelers here because there's too many unknowns, and the Bengals have the very recent history of playing very well and being successful, much more successful given that they were expected to be, but still it's legitimate. And the Steelers are sort of in I don't want to call it a rebuild because they haven't had a losing record since like in the last 20 years or something. Can't really call that a rebuild, but it is a new chapter, and I'm assuming Kenny Pickett is going to be starting at some point later this season as well. Bengals should have a relatively easy win at home. The Eagles at the Lions.
Yeah, I know we've went back and forth on Jalen Hurts, and I'm starting to change my tune. Like, I don't really, I mean, the guy has legs. He's going to run the ball a lot. I don't think he's going to just automatically turn into an elite passer all of a sudden, but I think he does improve this season. I'm starting to buy into the hype, and I think the Eagles may be on a great run. I don't expect them to be in the Super Bowl this year, but I think they could make it deep into the playoffs at the end of the season. Maybe, actually, I can't call them my post-hype sleepers. I've got other picks for that. But the Lions are getting the Hard Knocks bump right now and ending up probably 5 to 8 spots above where they should be on people's power rankings because of that show. I don't think they're anything better than they have been. Like, Aiden Hutchinson looks like he might be a star. That's not going to change the entire culture and the trajectory of this team. Like, this one guy drafted, high in the draft is not going to take this team to any deep playoff run. The Eagles take this one on the road.
So I will agree with you. First of all, take it off the top. The Eagles win the game. Jalen Hurts is, and I reflected on this, and the parallels are striking. Jalen Hurts right now is in the exact situation that Colin Kaepernick was in 2014. We know what he has been. He's on a great team right now. He's a running quarterback. Can he develop as a passer? Can he take that next step? He either is going to get better or he's not. If he does, the sky is the limit for him and for this Eagles squad because they're stacked on most positions. If he does not, they're going to phase out. And remember, that's what happened with the 49ers back then. Jim Harbaugh went 8-8 in his last season. Colin Kaepernick started, then he got benched for playing Gabbert, and they started rebuilding. The Eagles are at that turning point right now. How it's going to happen, I have no idea. I personally don't have as much faith in him as I do in other quarterbacks because I didn't see the fundamentals as much as I did with other quarterbacks going back to college because I watched him closely at Alabama, of course. So I'm not sure what to think about it. I'm going to say that the team, the Eagles, are talented enough to beat the Lions. To be determined how it's going to go when they go up against a bit bigger challenge. They also have a good chance to win the division because the division is not very strong, but I could see a situation where they do end up sneaking into the playoffs and they get beat up on. But we'll see. We'll see as we go along how the Eagles develop. Kind of an enigmatic team for me this year. Colts at the Texans.
Yeah, this is a good rivalry here. I don't even know. I've been thinking of how can I pump up the Texans other than Davis Mills being on his second season. Damian Pierce looks promising. But other than that, what really is there?
They shut out the Niners in the preseason. Great performance.
Yeah, preseason always is indicative of how the season's gonna go every single time. The Colts, Matt Ryan's out there. I expect him to have much like a Phillip Rivers, better than a Carson Wentz run there. It's still a great offensive line if all the weapons are healthy, and even the new one, Pierce looks good. I'm gonna take the Colts to win this one at home or on the road. I'm sorry, and this is probably gonna start a decent 10 to 11 win season for the Colts.
So Davis Mills is probably one of my biggest breakout candidates for this season. But that being said, the team's not very good. Colts win. I'm picking the Colts to win, and I'm also picking them to repeat what they've done the past few years, which is either just make the playoffs or just miss the playoffs. And if they make the playoffs, not have a whole lot of success. It seems like for the past 10 years, they've had to like sacrifice veteran quarterbacks to the never-ending wrath of Andrew Luck. And they're never going to get back to that, like the situation that they had at that point, at least not bringing in veterans at sort of the tail end of their career. Not really the case for Carson Wentz, but certainly for Matt Ryan. How big of an upgrade it is, maybe it's enough of an upgrade to just win that extra game to go to the playoffs. But to me, not a massive contender as things stand. But they're going to beat the Texans because the Texans are not a good team. Patriots at the Dolphins.
Well, there's always that one time where the Dolphins just puts one over on the Patriots. Wow, there's another quarterback enemy battle, so to speak. I mean, both these guys were vying for the same position at Alabama, and we saw how that played out. But people do, I think, project more for the Patriots this season with Mac Jones than they have been for the Dolphins and Tua, but I do think Tua is in line for a breakout season. I know every single quarterback that hasn't broke out can break out this season, but there is a lot on the list for me, and I really see a path for that for Tua. I'm gonna take the Dolphins at home. I think Tua gets it going right here. And the Patriots go back, probably end up winning 10 games this season somehow, and everybody will be like, how are they doing that? They're so bland and mediocre. But take the Dolphins here.
All right. Well, the Patriots always seem to find a way. This is one that I probably out of the whole list thought about the most, and I don't know if I'm going against my better judgment or not, but I'm going to end up taking the Patriots here because of it's all I've ever known is that the Patriots find a way to win against those like upstart punks in their division. But I think this year I'm gonna give the Dolphins a lot of credit. I'm not writing them off at all. In fact, the Dolphins are probably my favorite breakout. I don't know if you can call it post-hype sleeper, not really, because to me the hype started this offseason. Because first of all, I love Mike McDaniel. It was the best head coaching hire by far, slam dunk, in the entire NFL, just because he's never had a prominent coaching position, so to speak. I think he's a phenomenal offensive play caller, and it's going to be it could very well be a McVay, Shanahan, Zach Taylor kind of situation with the offense rising to great heights, and they have the caliber offense for him to go to war with. This is the fastest offense I can ever remember seeing. You have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Raheem Mostert. All of those are 4.2 40 guys. That also means that Tua has no more excuses. Like this is where he needs to step up, stay healthy, and win with this team. The AFC is stacked, but that's what it takes. I think the Dolphins have a shot this season. I think they have a great future ahead of them to be the most explosive team, similar to when Mahomes took over for Alex Smith in Kansas City and the fireworks went off. That could be Miami this season. It very realistically could be if things turn out to work together well. But I'm just going to take the Patriots here. It's their first game together for the Dolphins, and for the Patriots it's kind of the same thing every time. They have their system. They know what they're doing. So the experience is going to win out here. But the Dolphins definitely have the upside and the talent to achieve great things, and I still believe and hope that they will this season. Ravens at the Jets.
I don't have high hopes for either one of these teams. Both of these teams have a lot of unproven weapons out there on offense. But one team has Lamar Jackson, and the other team is going to be playing Joe Flacco. Another quarterback battle. There we go. That's another storyline here. There you go. Wow, that's amazing. I think they did this on purpose, right? For week one, they didn't
know Zach Wilson would be hurt when they made the schedule.
Yeah, but they knew he was that Flacco was the backup. Yeah. So you never know. But come on, there's a lot of storylines, right?
They didn't know Baker would be traded either. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. When the schedule came out, they didn't. But either way, it's working out. It's working out in everyone's favor. So this comes down to quarterback versus quarterback for me. I don't have high hopes, like I said, for either team, but I will take the Ravens to win this one to kick off the season.
Yeah, once again, give me the experience. No reason to believe the Jets are much improved. Zach Wilson was the only exciting part to really look forward to, and that's a team that has managed to never go anywhere with Sam Darnold. Not too confidence-inspiring situation at the moment, even though no Adam Gase in the building. Ravens win. They are very much expected to. Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews. They have the known commodities to beat up on teams like the Jets, and I believe they will. Jaguars at the Washington no longer football team, now Commanders.
Yeah, not a horrible name. Well, looking at this on the surface, I mean, you got more experience over on the Commanders. But this should be Trevor Lawrence this season. You could almost say this is a post-hype sleeper because when Trevor Lawrence was drafted and they got Urban Meyer in there, a lot of people were expecting them to just skyrocket because they had the blue chip quarterback and the blue chip coach, at least for college. But God, was that a disaster. Hopefully he didn't do irreparable damage to Trevor Lawrence, and he can rebound this season and get up to where he should be because I think there is so much talent in this kid. It's ridiculous. He should take them to high places here. Carson Wentz, we know what he is. Every time I put a lot of faith in Carson Wentz and think he's going to get right back to that MVP caliber that he was on before he broke his leg back in the day, it never happens. It doesn't play out, and then he ends up losing his job to several different quarterbacks, and it's tough. It's tough. I don't think this is actually my post-hype sleepers because I think they're going to be much better, which anything is almost better than what they did last year. But I will take them on the road here. I think they're going to have a better season.
All right. I'm going to disagree. I'll take Jacksonville. I think Trevor Lawrence turns it up, has the best game of his career so far. Yeah.
Oh, I was picking Jacksonville.
Oh, you will pick Jacksonville? Okay. Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood. So
pronouns, my bad.
I will agree with you in that case and take Jacksonville to win as well. I will give you that. You're right about last season. That was kind of a circus. That was as close as it gets to what it's like to... People always had that thought experiment, what if we took the best college team and played it against the worst NFL team? That's about what happens. So then it kind of shows the difference of what works in college doesn't necessarily work in the NFL because you had the first year head coach, first year quarterback, first year running back. A little bit more NFL experience on that team now. Trevor Lawrence a year older and hopefully with a little bit of better support. Doug Peterson has been to the Super Bowl. He knows what it takes. He has playoff experience, and he'll probably run the show a little bit better, quite a lot better, hopefully, than Urban Meyer did. So more stability. That's what a young quarterback needs. So Trevor Lawrence to beat the Commanders. Takes me a while to acclimatize to that name for sure. Giants at the Titans.
You know, it's crazy. You're going to think I'm ridiculous for doing this, but I thought about this game for quite some time. I know on the surface... Is this year number
3 or 4 in which Daniel Jones will finally break out?
It's number 3.
Okay.
It's number 3, yes. And I don't know, the formula is there. The offensive line should be better this season. Of course, I said last year that the offensive line was going to hold them back, and that was exactly what happened. There were games where Daniel Jones just started to break out, and he was doing well, and then he got too beat up, and the offensive line just couldn't hold anybody, and he was running for his life. And you can't really win that way unless you're Mike Vick or Lamar Jackson, which he is a quick guy, you know. He has been recorded as being the fastest guy on the field for a quarterback in the NFL. But I don't want to get too cute right off the bat. I want him to break out. I think everything's there, but I can't just go ahead and call it because of past performances. I don't know that the Giants are just going to get it together. I don't know if the offensive line is going to hold it with being that young at that. I'll take Tannehill and the Titans to win this at home.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Going with the experience again, the team that has had success, Tennessee to win. For Daniel Jones, quarterbacks are supposed to have breakout seasons at some point in their first 2 years. Daniel Jones has breakout quarters, but it's not enough. It doesn't last, like you alluded to. Always kind of comes back to not really all that much. So I don't want to forever condemn him to, the Daniel Jones line, and he can never, ever rise above that. But at this point, I need to see it happen. He was my number 2 quarterback in that draft, behind Drew Lock, who we don't speak of anymore. But I did have high hopes for him, but he needs to take that next step. And until he does do so, I'm not going to hold the Giants in very high regards. Titans, however, are going to win because, they have a team that's built for the playoffs, and they've proven that they belong there, so they should win this. Chiefs at the Cardinals.
Oh, man, you're not going to like this. I bet this is probably the highest over-under of the week right here. This looks like it's going to shape up to be a shootout. If there's any semblance of what these teams were last year and those prolific offenses that they had, I know the Cardinals fell off like they do. They're great for most of the season, and then they fall off at the very end and then end up losing in the playoffs. That's what they do, obviously, with Kyler Murray. But more weapons, just keep feeding the guy. He's got Hollywood Brown out there now. He's going to be missing Hopkins, so that probably is hurting him right here in this game. The Chiefs, we're missing Tyreek Hill, and Juju is filling in, so they're both in the same boat here. Of course, I know that Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray, but Kyler Murray is sustainable. He's good enough to put up a fight here. And being at home, I'm going to take the Cardinals at home.
Oh, wow. You're really throwing down the challenge, huh? Yeah, I'll take it. I'm taking the Chiefs.
I know you
will. Absolutely, yeah. I have to bite on that. Maybe it's a bait, but it's a trap. But no, I'm gonna have to take the Chiefs. And you're right, it is the biggest over/under of the week. I made sure to check. Unsurprisingly, with the offenses that we're seeing, Kansas City should win the game. They have more experience. There's no reason to believe that what happened to them in last year's championship game is going to have much of an effect on them, because remember when they lost the Super Bowl Tampa Bay, they came back the next season, they were great. Had another really bad playoff loss where they, Mahomes played the worst quarter of his, or worst half of his career, and they lost in pretty awful fashion. I think they'll be able to put it behind them, and they'll be able to start into another strong season. No reason not to believe in them as one of the juggernauts in the stacked AFC, to be fair. But at Arizona, the Chiefs win. Raiders at the Chargers.
Yeah, so what kind of Raiders are we getting? Are we getting the 8-9, or are we getting the 9-8 Raiders? What's it gonna be?
We're getting the 8-1 Raiders.
It's gonna happen this year, huh?
It's happening.
This is it.
This year for sure.
People believe in the Raiders. A lot of people believe in them. And, a lot of people were happy with their draft finally that Gruden is gone. Gruden had some horrible drafts. But on the other side, this actually is my post-hype sleepers right here. The Chargers, everyone expected them to be so great last season, and they ended up falling off and going just about 500. If it wasn't for having an extra game last year, they would have been 500 when people were expecting them to go deep into the playoffs. This year, they are going deep into the playoffs. They have wonderful weapons. They haven't lost a thing. All of them are back. Herbert's got another year under him. Chargers going to win this one at home.
Yeah, people believe in the Raiders in the same way that a lot of people believe in Santa Claus. Who believes in Santa Claus? Like little kids that don't know any better. And that's sort of the same thing with the Raiders, because it happens every season, and they're still the most average team in the league. And I'm sticking with this, by the way. The 8-1 joke, it's back for the whole season. And unless they show some real improvement, and even last year when they were 3-0, I stuck with it, and I ended up being almost entirely correct, except they didn't get that one tie, which they could have if the Chargers, which they're playing, took a timeout in overtime instead of letting them kick the game-winning field goal. But that's besides the point. Chargers are a better team. They have a top 5 quarterback. That's another, if you want to call it, bold prediction for this season, in Justin Herbert on their team, and they are going to contend with the Chiefs for this completely stacked division that also has Russell Wilson in it now. I'm taking the Chargers to win the game. They better win the game, but either way, Raiders go 8-1. Packers at Vikings.
Wow. This is two totally different stories right here. the Vikings, you have the middle or upper middling quarterback. That's always suffice, but never can win you the big one. But he's a good quarterback. He has all the weapons. Big Irv's gonna be back. I'm looking forward to seeing that breakout this year at tight end. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. Of course, Adam Thielen's getting some age on him, but he's still there. Cook is still there. The whole gang's back together. We're ready to see this one through. And on the other side, Aaron Rodgers has been left with nothing. The cupboard is bare. There's not much there to speak of. And his new guys that were drafted, he doesn't like them. He's not favoring Romeo Dubes right now, or I'm forgetting the other guy's name, the Cincinnati receiver. But he's not. Alan Lazard, I guess, is his biggest weapon right now. And do you remember when Alan Lazard was drafted?
I don't offhand. Nope.
Exactly. That's the problem. But it's Aaron Rodgers. You can't bet against Aaron Rodgers, right? Especially against the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers owns the Vikings. I'm gonna take the Packers on the road. It doesn't make sense, but that's how it works.
Yeah, see, this is why this is not really a question to me, because it's not like Aaron Rodgers ever really had a whole lot more than he does now. You could argue Davante Adams, who was, I'm staying with that, the most overrated player in the NFL for the past few years because of the aura that is Aaron Rodgers. And by the way, another bold prediction I wanted to make, I didn't get to when we talked about the Raiders, but Davante Adams is not going to be talked about as a top 5 receiver in the league this year. That is another bold prediction for me. And I was even going to say that Alan Lazard, or the Packers' top receiver, is going to outgain Davante Adams mano-a-mano this. I'm not going to say that just yet, but I'm going to say that Davante Adams is out of top 5 by the end of this season. So for this one, though, I think the Vikings could have a good shot this year. I think they might be an improved team. As much as the stability and experience of the Mike Zimmer era helped them to some playoff success, I think it was time to get some fresh air in the building, so to speak, and to kind of restart there. But the core of players, you mentioned Thielen, you mentioned Kirk Cousins, still around, so I think the Vikings have a good shot to be a good team. I'm gonna take the Packers because it's Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, it's really hard to bet against him if you don't have a very good reason to do so. So he's back-to-back MVP. There's no reason to believe that he's not still the best player in the league, and you have to pick him until proven otherwise. Bucks at the Cowboys.
And I will go ahead and tell you, Alan Lazard was an undrafted free agent in 2018 for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wow.
He wasn't even drafted or picked up by the Packers at first.
My God,
that's gonna be his number 1 receiver.
And watch him still play at an MVP level. By the way,
maybe you might be right about that. Now I think Davante Adams is still gonna be in the top 10 in my opinion, but yeah, that's a tough call to say that Alan Lazard is going to all around outscore Davante Adams.
And look at the contrast, just as a quick interjection as we get into the next one. Look at the contrast with the Buccaneers. Well, Mike Evans, you had Gronk, you had Chris Godwin. That's not enough for you? How about Julio Jones as well? Is that better?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but you gotta look at what's going on in Tom Brady's personal life and say that this divorce that everyone's talking about, or however that's playing out, and the guy came back after being gone for a week and looked 10 years older somehow. I actually saw a thing that said Tom Brady was actually cloned during that week off. So that's why he looks completely different now.
He went back to the Patriots facility, to the secret laboratory.
Exactly. They had to check. Maybe they broke him in training camp, the original one, and they had to send him off and get a new replacement. That's what it was. The Cowboys, I mean, they have weapons. Amari Cooper's gone. CeeDee Lamb should have a definite breakout season. I know he's kind of broke out in the past, but this should be his season to dominate, to cement himself as a top 5, if not a top 10. I think he's going to be on the cusp there, probably somewhere between 8-4 at the end of the season. I know you don't like Dak, but he can support a number 1 wide receiver like that, and a top 5 overall wide receiver. Zeke is back and supposedly in the best shape of his life. I know they say that about every running back every offseason, so who knows. But his injury is going to be over. They should be able to move the ball on the ground and through the air. And the Bucs, Tom Brady doesn't have a great record without Gronk, except for when he had Randy Moss. So I don't know that helps or hurts him. I will go with the Cowboys at home because you're going to pick the Bucs.
All right, I will pick the Bucs because the rich have gotten richer. You had Julio Jones to the offense. Okay, no more Gronk. I think Julio Jones pretty good replacement. This is top to bottom still the strongest roster in the league, in my opinion. Maybe the Bills are also kind of getting up there, but the Bucs are still stacked. If Tom Brady doesn't fall off a cliff, and he doesn't seem to really have that tendency, they're going to be a strong team. If he plays the way he's been playing the past few years, that's always been plenty enough for them to succeed, and I expect him to do that. So I'll take the Bucs to beat the Cowboys. As for Zeke Elliott, yeah, he better step up this year, because last year he was the second best back on that team, and if that continues, it is Tony Pollard getting paid before Zeke Elliott gets paid again, because he's already gotten it, and he's gotten hurt before. He's had a lot of carries. He may have played the majority of his years for the Cowboys at this point, if that's how it's going to end up going. So he better step it up. Being said, I don't believe in the Cowboys to be much more than they were last season. Good in the regular season, in a terrible division, probably going to win it, lose in the playoffs, not make much waves. Basically how I see them, also how I would like it to be, so I'll pick against them. And as the last game, we have yet another grudge match rivalry rematch of sorts with Russell Wilson here. Even Drew Lock on the other end of the spectrum. So we have the Broncos at the Seahawks.
You know what? I want to say the Bucs and the Cowboys is a rematch from Week 1 last week. I'd have to look that up. I think that it was actually the game that
right?
opened. Yeah, I think that was the Thursday night game last year.
I thought it was. Yeah.
Yeah. The Bucs being champions. But this is going to be a revenge game for Russell Wilson. He's going to go up there and stick it to the Seahawks. And there is no reason why he shouldn't be able to do that. This offense is going to be dismal. J.K. Dobbins is the bright spot. What is Rashad Penny going to do? He had a breakout, a year 4 running back breakout, which never happens, but somehow he lucked into that position. Is he going to be able to continue it? Are they going to be able to move the ball on the ground? We know Pete Carroll loves to run the ball. That was apparently his problem with Russell Wilson. The guy just wants to throw the ball, and I want to run the ball. Oh God, it's a big mistake. Pete Carroll is not gonna live this one down after the Broncos go to Seattle and probably beat them by 3 to 4 touchdowns.
So I'll say this: I am looking forward so much to this season for the Seahawks in the most malicious way you could possibly imagine. I haven't followed football for that long, about 10 years that I've been actively following the NFL now. So I've been through a time of seeing the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Niners all be the punching bag of the NFC West. They were all terrible at one point during those 10 years. The one team I have not seen get beat up over and over again and going 2-15 is the Seahawks. And it's about damn time that happens, because there's not a team in the league I wish that on more than Seattle after that many years. So this is going to start with Russell Wilson, of course, coming back home to what's called Lumen Field now. I still remember it as CenturyLink. I think Lumen Field now in Seattle, and putting a solid 40 on the Seahawks is what I want to see, because the Broncos are sneakily a pretty good team, and with solid quarterback play, they have a shot. Even though they're in arguably the hardest division in football, the AFC West is incredibly stacked. If an 8-8 or 9-8 Raiders team is considered by far the weakest team in that division, that's a lot. So this is a potential 3 playoff team kind of division. Broncos have to take all the wins they can get out of the division, and no better time to start doing that than in Seattle. So this is going to be a blowout, hopefully, for the whole world to see. The late night spot against Seattle. Broncos take it. Yeah. Well, that's week 1. That is week 1. We have some good games. A lot of very convenient revenge games and rivalries, as if they somehow knew. But hey,
I'll point out that you only picked 3 home teams.
I only picked 3 home teams. Goes to show you how many good teams are on the road. I mean, I could have picked the Dolphins. That would have been completely legitimate. Could have picked the Washingtons. That would have been completely legit. Yeah. So a couple conflicts there. Even maybe the Vikings and the Rams. A couple of coin flips. But I know that historically speaking, it's not very smart to not pick home teams. It's generally not a profitable decision. But
especially in week 1.
Yeah. But I gotta go with I gotta pick what I think is the better team, right? I gotta stick with it because I want to pick the teams that win, so I can win the prediction.
Yeah.
There we go. So that's week 1. Let us know your picks, and just really quick note on the betting lines. We already talked over and under. Cardinals and Chiefs have the highest over under. The splits of the spreads for the actual game outcomes very conservative. The biggest spread we have all week, is 7 points. We have that twice. So we have the Colts over the Texans, 7-point favorites. The Ravens over the Jets, 7-point favorites. That is
at the
not.
End of last season, the Colts would have been 14 at least over the Texans.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. The Niners are also 7-point favorites over the Bears. So those 3 games only by a touchdown. And I'm gonna say this: an NFL weekend doesn't pass with a team without at least one team getting blown out by more than 2 touchdowns. So spread picks this week, good money. If you have some good inclination, I will definitely put money on the Niners against the spread more than 7 points. Probably the Colts as well. So those seem like easy money. I think odds makers are being very conservative because new season and being tentative about giving big spreads because you haven't seen teams for a long time. But I'm definitely going to try and make use of that. Not financial advice or anything. Apparently, I have to say that. But that's what I would do if I were to do it. Hint, hint. All right.
What's the highest over under? Do you have that pulled up?
Oh, it's the Chiefs Cardinals, 54 points.
Oh, that makes sense. Yep.
Doesn't seem like that much as well, but then again, it is a pretty good. Every team scores 4 touchdowns, so
yeah,
I guess it is a pretty. And
they have the
one.
Chiefs winning by 3.
Chiefs win by 6 actually. 6-point favorites.
Wow.
6-point favorites. Yeah, that's a lot over Arizona. I will give you that. If you picked Arizona to win outright, or if you believe this is going to be close with them at home, this might be a bet for you because this is not as clear of a game than some of these other ones with the big spreads.
And I think both these teams go over 30 in this game.
Oh, very possible. Yeah.
I would take the over there.
Very possible. Well,
not
we'll
telling
see
anyone to do it, obviously.
No. You would do it if you did do it.
Yes, exactly.
Hypothetically. Yeah. That's how it's going to go. Let us know your picks in the comments, and we're going to do this all season. Are we going to have some fantasy news coming up this week as well?
Absolutely. This should be out later on today as you're hearing this. It's week 1, so every year in week 1 is basically the same theme. It's just don't get cute, rest on your laurels, and play the game like you know how to play the game.
Hope y'all drafted well. I'm sitting out this season. I'm not playing fantasy this one season. I had a move in real life. I had a lot of work to do. Didn't get the time to draft fantasy. I'm sitting out one season. I'm gonna take this opportunity to learn though. I'm gonna watch your scoreboard, not the scoreboard. It's the Hurry Up Offenses, which is your fantasy show. I'm gonna try and apply the principles a little bit more, and then if I get a chance to get back into it next year, hopefully. Bit better prepared because my success the past 2 years has not been the greatest. I did not make the playoffs over the past 2 years, but hopefully learn some stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna pay attention to that for sure. So if you're fantasy football interested, stick around. Check out the Hurry Up Offense coming up. Professional fantasy football advice week 1, and that actually is advice that you should follow. very much so. Check that out. Subscribe to the channel. More predictions, more fantasy stuff for pretty much every week, because we're back next 24 weeks or something like that, as the NFL is going to be playing. We'll be back every week. So drop us a like. Let us know your picks for week 1. Do you have anything to add for this week?
That's it for this week.
All right. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard. Ha. Check.